This is Susan with Susan Monroe Art, and today I'm going to talk to you about finding a place and a time to paint, which I know is not easy for everyone. And what made me think about this was yesterday when I rearranged my studio. And just so you know, my studio is a desk and a closet in my son's old bedroom, which is now the guest room, which is great. I feel so fortunate to have this space. I really love it. But I wasn't always able to have this space. This was my kids' bedrooms, and we didn't have a spare room to use for something like this. We didn't have room for a spare desk to use. And it was during those days when I was a young mom and I had 3 kids, they were 5 and under, that I came up with the idea to make my mini studio. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, because I think it's a great way to always have your painting supplies ready, and it makes it so much easier to just find even 10 minutes to paint every day if you have your things together and they're easy and accessible and just there for you to grab and go when the mood strikes you, or if you're disciplined, when you've set up your time to paint. So let me show you my first studio. It was this beautiful tray that I got from Cost Plus World Market. And I want you to notice it's a nice tray. It's got some high sides because I didn't want my little ones grabbing things off it and being able to tip over the water and all that good stuff. It's nice size, maybe a little bigger than a cookie sheet. And I wanted to let you know how I set that up and how I used it, because I just think it'd be so helpful for anybody who maybe is in a tiny apartment and you don't have room for your painting supplies. Maybe you've had to move to assisted living or downsize, or like me, you've got a bunch of little kids. You can't have painting stuff sitting out for them to get into. So the mini studio was the perfect example for me, and I'm gonna show you how I did it and let you know how it worked. So let's get going. So when I decided to make my mini studio, I really looked carefully at my art supplies and pared them down to the basic things that I would need. I didn't have any extra stuff that I kept on my tray, my studio tray. So the very basics for me were, of course, my paints, and it was nice to have a small palette that I could close, all right, and I would keep that on here. Of course, I had a pencil with an eraser, or you could have a kneaded eraser, is always nice to have on there. I had 3 brushes. The 3 brushes I used the most are the rounds. I had a number 2 round and number 6 round, and this is a number 12. I had 10 or 12. I would keep these on here along with a cup, of course, for my water. I made sure I got like a little mug like this. Number 1, this mug made me happy. It's bright and it's cute and it's colorful. And I think you should have things that make you happy and want to get your tray down if you're gonna paint on it. So I found this. It wasn't a really tall water glass. It's easy to knock over. It was low and sturdy and steady. And I could keep my pencils and my eraser in there when I'm not using them. Then of course there was the paper. This is a 12 by 16 block of arches. Sometimes I kept this in here. It would go on the bottom of everything. But Arches and other suppliers make different size blocks of watercolor paper. And honestly, I think smaller is better if you're painting like this, just because you have limited time to paint. Work smaller so you have a feeling of progress. If you've got something big going on, I mean, that's great. And if you understand it's going to take you a while to get it done, and you can handle not having the reward of completing something very quickly, super. But I needed at that time smaller things that I could see and have a sense of accomplishment when I was done with them. This is an example of a block of watercolor paper, which is great to use in your mini studio. You can see the paper sealed all around the edges. You could just draw on it and then paint right on it without having to stretch your watercolor paper. It just stays flat and smooth while you're painting. So you could get one of these, whatever size you want. Like I said, I think smaller is sometimes better in these situations. Or why not try a watercolor sketchbook? This is my sketchbook, pretty new. I am really working hard on getting the sketchbook going. I'm going to show you some of the pictures I have in here. It's small pages. It's easy to keep on here, not taking up too much room, and I could easily finish a painting in a day. Then if you weren't keeping your sketches in a sketchbook, I like to have a clear folder that I could put finished paintings in when I was done with them, and they're all in one place. And you know, if you're feeling blue or a little down or like you're not getting stuff done, you could go back and look through them and maybe get some inspiration, and they make you happy and they cheer you up, and that's always a good thing. I also had a pencil sharpener that I kept on here and a couple of paper towels, okay? And that's it. That's it. I mean, you might think this is really obvious and some of you might already do it. I don't know. But it worked well because, number one, it looked pretty nice when it's all on here together, and it was colorful, and I could sit it in the middle of the dining room table. I could set it up on the kitchen counter. It looked tidy. It was ready to go, and I could grab it whenever I wanted to, which is the big plus of having a tray like this be your mini studio. It's always ready when you're ready. Then when you're done, the important thing though is to clean it all up. Don't leave it a mess. Empty the water, clean the brushes, put it all back so it's ready to go the next time you want to use it. And you're not thinking, oh, I would paint, but I left it a mess and I've got to clean up my palette and I don't have time for all that. Do it now. The do it now rule is really good, which means when you think of it, do it now. So that was how I used my mini studio. I've progressed since that time though, and progressed into eventually having this nice desk and the room where I can work. Because sometimes you just have other things that take up more time and are maybe a little more important than your painting, but it is always important to take time for yourself. And I think having your mini studio and knowing that you can take a little bit of time for yourself to paint is one of the best ways you can treat yourself nicely. So that is my advice, I guess, for the day. Thank you for listening to my blog, and please let me know if you think this was a good idea, or maybe you have something else that you use. I would love to hear about it in the comments, and I hope that you'll give this video a thumbs up, and maybe you'll subscribe to my channel and click the little bell icon so you can be notified whenever I put up a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. Bye.